Good morning. This is Miss Beth's science class. Have you ever wondered what is the biggest tree in the world? Miss Beth is here in the Sequoia National Park, which I have actually been to, and I put pictures in your assignment. I have been to the Sequoia National Park in California, and it is amazing. The trees are so tall that you can drive a car through them. Okay, let's learn about big trees in the world.
Hi, it's Doug. You've seen pine cones before, right? Here in California, in the mountains, you can find pine cones on the ground like this. Kind of makes you wonder, how big is the pine tree that something like this comes from?
Really big.
There are some incredibly huge trees out there in the world. Someone named Alejandro has a question about this. Let's give them a call now.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Alejandro.
I have a question for you. What's the biggest tree in the world?
That's a great question. When I was a little boy, I think one of the first stories a grown-up ever read to me was the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. Jack finds some magic beans that grow into a giant beanstalk that he can climb high up into the sky. I remember thinking, wow, that would be so cool. Or I also remember seeing cartoons that had trees so big around that people could live inside of them. Trees in real life are definitely something we think of as being big and tall. But what's the biggest? Is there a real life version of these cartoons and fairy tales? Now, for a question like what's the biggest for anything, I suppose you or I could always just go search the internet or look it up in a book or maybe ask an adult who knows. But if you just found the answer and that was it, that would leave out one of the best parts, which is, how do we even know the answer to this question? It's not like you can just go up to a tree and ask it, hey, do you happen to know what the biggest tree in the world is? Now, you might have seen some big trees near where you live, but there are trees.
Do we have really tall trees in Dubai? Think about what trees we have in Dubai. Do you remember we talked about the gaff tree? How big is the gaff tree? Is it the tallest tree in the world?
Growing on almost every continent.
Let's find Dubai. Dubai is here. You should know where you live.
On Earth. So in order to figure out which one is the biggest, we human beings had to go out and explore all around the world. It can be tempting to think trees are just trees. They're all pretty similar. They've got bark, they've got leaves, they grow tall. Cool. But as people have explored all over the earth, one of the most surprising things we found out is just how different trees can be.
Wow,
and some of them are amazing. This one, called rainbow eucalyptus from Southeast Asia, has some of the most colorful bark of any tree in the world.
That is a rainbow tree. That is beautiful. Did you know there's a tree that looks like a rainbow?
Or this one, called a kapok tree. You wouldn't want to climb this. Look at the thorns growing on the side of that thing. And check out this tree, called a jabuticaba tree from Brazil in South America. It grows these shiny black fruits, not just on its branches, but all up and down its trunk. It's so weird. But while all of these trees are amazing, none of them are anywhere close to making the list of what we could consider some of the biggest trees in the world.
They're not the biggest.
No, for that, we have to consider trees more like this. The baobab tree of Africa.
Can you say the word baobab? Baobab. 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 It has a really big trunk.
Look at that thing. It doesn't even look real, but it is. Or check out this, the Sitka spruce. Lots of these trees grow along the western coast of Canada. Now, trees like these are trees that are big enough you could live inside of one. And in old ones that have gotten...
Does anyone want to make a house inside one of these big trees? Think about how you could design your house.
Hollowed out over time? Some people have done just that. Look at this entire room someone created inside of a Sitka spruce.
Wow.
But now wait a second, because here's a tree in New Zealand called a kauri tree.
Kauri.
Which one looks bigger to you? A baobab or a kauri tree?
Which one is bigger, the baobab or the kauri? You decide. Okay, let's find out.
Seeing big trees like this side by side makes you realize when we talk about what's the biggest tree, we could mean different things. What are some of the different ways someone could mean biggest when they're talking about the biggest tree in the world?
Okay, well, this is the part of the video where we discuss a little bit about what we have seen. What did you just see on the video? What could the biggest tree mean? Does it mean it has the biggest trunk? Does it mean it's the tallest? You have to tell Miss Beth. Let's keep going.
Well, seeing some of these examples helps us realize it matters what we mean when we say biggest tree in the world. We could mean the tree that's the biggest around, like the size of its trunk. We could mean the tallest tree in the world. Or we could even mean the heaviest tree in the world.
Heavy.
And it turns out there's not one tree that holds the record for all of these. Different kinds of trees hold the record for each. Baobabs and even kauri trees are definitely big around, but they're not the biggest. That award goes to this tree in Mexico, a tree named El Tule, found in the state of Oaxaca. It's a type of tree called a cypress. From one side of its trunk to the other, this tree's trunk is the length of an entire school bus. So what about the heaviest and tallest trees in the world? Well, even though there are two different kinds of trees, they're both found in the same place, the U.S. state of California.
Miss Beth will stop the video right there. This is the state of California. This is the United States of America, where your teacher grew up and is from. Miss Beth is from this side of the U.S., but I have been to this side. I put some pictures in your assignment of Miss Beth at the Sequoia National Park, which has some of the largest trees in the world. Okay, and they're in California.
In little parts spread around California, you can find entire forests of these trees growing. There's even two different national parks. One of them, Sequoia National Park, is home to the heaviest trees in the world, the giant sequoia. This photo gives you a sense of just how huge a sequoia tree is. Not only are these trees incredibly tall, they're also incredibly wide, which is what makes them so heavy. The largest sequoia tree of them all, a tree people have named General Sherman, currently holds the world's record for being the largest living organism on Earth. And that leaves, last but not least, the tallest trees in the world. These are redwoods. They're a cousin of the sequoia. They look similar. You can even see they get pretty wide. This redwood tree in the town of Leggett, California, is so wide that an entire car can drive through it. This tunnel was carved into the tree about 100 years ago. Luckily, the tree's still alive, but carving tunnels like this isn't something people do anymore, as it could harm the tree. Now, while redwood trees don't get quite as wide across as sequoias, they do get taller. The tallest tree in the world, found in Redwood National Park, is 380 feet tall. This gives you a sense of just how big that is.
Bigger than the Statue of
So,
Liberty.
in summary, to figure out what the biggest tree in the world is, we have to go out and explore. There are amazing, huge trees found all over the world. The tallest and heaviest ones known being the redwoods and sequoias from California, USA. That's all for this week's question. Thanks, Alejandro, for asking it. Before you vote on next week's question.
Okay, now everybody knows what the largest tree is in the world. It's the sequoias and the redwoods in California, USA. Look at Miss Beth's pictures. I have pictures of the sequoia. It was so big. These were really cool trees, okay? Now I want you to draw your big tree. You can draw any tree. So on the video, you can draw the baobab, the kauri, you can draw the sequoia, any big large tree you want. Or you can draw the rainbow tree, okay? Bye everyone. I will see you soon.